Hey everybody, welcome to EmpireCV.tv. Today we've got all the great books for the first Wednesday of March, but we also have a special guest with us here today. We've got Josh, aka Sir Samurai. Welcome to EmpireCV.tv, sir.
Appreciate it.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do?
I am a professional wrestler. I've been wrestling for 10 years. When I first started, I was a ring announcer, and my goal was to have a match, and I started training with the mentality of having one match just so I could say I wrestled. And I started when I was 30, and after I had that match, it was like a drug addiction, and I said 500 matches. I just have to have 500 matches.
Did you pick 500 matches like then
that
and
day,
there?
right after my match, when everyone was like, you did it, you had your one.
Now, that's a number that seems like most people would never reach.
Yeah, it is, because what happens is wrestling's hard, and you don't make any money, so and you get hurt.
It's a lot like creating comic books.
The love you have for it tends to fade over the years, and people just eventually go, it's not worth it, or they get married, or they have kids, or
and then it gets put to the back burner,
exactly.
And there's just no time.
And they take a month off, they take a year off, and I've been really lucky. I've wrestled since I debuted every single month since that first match.
Which is crazy, because when I've talked to you in the store, you have events sometimes every weekend. Yeah,
usually 4 a month seems to be the average, but I've had as many as 8 in a given month.
Wow, that's unbelievable. So we're approaching 500.
Yes.
It's coming up on March 17th.
Yes, here in town.
And that obviously will be in here in Sac because this is your hometown.
Right.
Where is it at?
It's a little private school called Crystal Rays High School on McMahon Boulevard.
Okay.
Which is just a little residential neighborhood off of Stockton, like near Broadway, near the Colonial Theater. But it's
I know
pretty
where
much
that
just
is.
houses, little private school, and we rent their gym, and we've been there for 8.5 years.
Okay, now why don't you tell us a little bit about the wrestling group that you're part
of? Here in Sac, it's called Supreme Pro Wrestling. It's the company that I was trained at, started as a ring announcer at, and have come up, and I'm now one of the main guys who helps organize everything. I rent the U-Haul, I pick up the truck, I take care of the dates, and stuff like that. The way wrestling works is pretty much every city has its own company, and we're all freelance. So on the third Sunday of the month, everyone's in Sacramento, but the next Sunday we'll all be in Reno. Or not all of us, because we go here, we go there, and there's the cutthroat guys like me who are pretty much everywhere and tries to be at every show.
So how do they determine who's going to be wrestling each week then?
Pretty much every city's run by a guy or a couple guys, and that person just decides who they want to hire.
Okay, and you put your name in.
Yeah, you're in the mix, and once you're in the mix, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that you've appeared for the last 4 shows. When you're leaving, hey, do you need me next month?
Okay,
and then it just becomes where I have my regular Reno, Modesto, Stockton, and Hayward, and Sac are my regulars that I count on, and then any open days, if I get, hey, are you available on this date in Chico or Marysville or what have you,
you'll just head on out.
Use you. Yeah, exactly.
So I also know that you guys have a school.
Yes.
That you teach.
Right.
So what is the name of that? Is it part of the same thing?
It's the Supreme Pro Wrestling Training Academy. We have, and that's as I said, where I got my start and where I was trained. Currently, one of the referees in the WWE is a graduate of the school. He and I actually started together the same month from Applebee's. We were both like, hey, let's be wrestlers. And now it's what he does for a living.
He's cool.
And then there's a guy named John Morrison who had a long run in the WWE who was a graduate of our school.
So if somebody wanted to become part of this, what do they have to do?
Pretty much just email me at sirsamurai@aol.com.
That's easy enough.
It's easy enough.
And at AOL.com, you've been doing this a long time.
I've been doing it that long. People always mock me for that, but it still works when I log on.
Yeah, it's still there. So
I haven't been on AOL in 10 years, but my email address,
Oh, that brings me
back.
Yeah. So they can email you. You'll give them all the info.
Yes, exactly.
And anybody can join. Correct?
Yes. As I said, I was 30 when I started. The ideal maybe is that you're a steroid monster gym rat, but the reality is pro wrestling is like anything else. Anyone who wants to do it, stays dedicated, can do it. You don't
be part of it, and it's very story driven.
Right.
So you don't want everybody to be exactly the same. You need a little variety for the different characters. So I imagine that's important.
Yeah. It's just a matter of if you don't quit, you'll make it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You keep coming, you keep working out, you'll get a little better. Eventually, you'll be good enough to where you'll be a small part of the show, and if you stay around, you become a bigger part of the show and a bigger part of the show.
Oh, that's perfect. Well, why don't you tell us where on the web they can find you? What's the best place?
SupremeProWrestling.com is our official website. We're also on Facebook because everyone's on Facebook these days.
Yeah.
Those are probably the 2 best ways.
Okay, perfect. Then if you guys are interested, if you want to go down, it's March 17th. What time?
It starts at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, and you can find all the information on the websites. Go on down, see the 500th match, and if you want to learn more about the training, just email him at sirsamurai@aol.com to get more. Okay, on to some books. Sir Samurai is also an avid comic book reader, and you've been doing this for a while, I imagine.
86?
86,
I think is when I started collecting.
I think that's a little while. And since we're talking about old times, this one took me back to 1995. I mean, look at that.
Yeah.
It's a wraparound, beautiful holofoil cover. Age of Ultron. Have you heard anything about this one?
I know what it is. I've been looking for it because Avengers was the first thing I started collecting. That was the first thing I picked up in Long's drugstore when I was a little kid.
You still remember the issue?
I don't remember the number, but I know Whirlwind was on the cover and he was trying to get the Wasp. And I think Yellow Jacket was saving him. I want to say 166.
Somewhere right
Somewhere
in
the 160s. George Perez art.
Then Ultron has been something that it's been
very
a part
much
of.
so.
I love Ultron. And this book, I think, is going to be absolutely amazing.
I think this will be a really good Avengers book because now with all the Avengers books they're all doing different things, but it's the same members. It's like you got Thor here and Thor here and Thor here.
Yeah.
And you read one week and then one the other, and it
doesn't necessarily sync.
He's on Mars and he's on this.
Well,
whereas this is going to be more of a standalone, from what I understand, with like crossovers.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a solid story that you can just follow.
It is, and as a retailer, it's really hard for me because I don't like spoilers.
Right.
And I have to get that line of how much do I know,
right?
But then know about it, but I still want to be able to read it and enjoy it,
right?
So I don't know a heck of a lot of where they're putting this one because it opens up and the world is just absolutely
right from
destroyed,
the start.
right from the start. I mean, page 1.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, so I'm not ruining anything, guys. It opens up. Ultron has pretty much taken over the city, and you can see the Statue of Liberty is destroyed. We don't know what's going on, so I'm waiting to find out where it fits in and if they're just going to have it be a standalone, kind of like, remember Final Crisis?
Yeah.
It was supposed to impact the entire world, and it just kind of was its own thing.
Right.
I'm hoping that it's more than that, but like you said, it's in other books.
Right.
So
and it comes out more often, right? It's not a monthly. It's
it should be out every couple weeks.
Yeah.
And it's pretty ruthless. It starts out in that destroyed city. We find Hawkeye going on a kind of a secret mission. I really can't say much. It's out next week, and this one is huge. But it's got hitch art, and it is really good hitch art. It is not phoned in, and the story was really good too. So Age of Ultron comes out tomorrow, and I'm pretty damn excited. Ultron is just one of those fun bad guys. I mean, I can't stand Pym.
Right.
But and I can't really say that's the best thing he's ever done because it's pretty bad. But I can't tell you guys. I want to talk about it so bad, but I can't. All right, Green Lantern. You're caught up on this one?
I haven't read that one, but I've been following.
With all the Wrath.
Right.
What do you think about where they've been going? What about, before we go into Wrath, what about Third Army?
I enjoyed it, but I thought the conclusion was very anticlimactic. It felt like a big build really was just a prologue to the next storyline.
It kind of was.
You know what I mean?
Kind of what a lot of people thought, oh wow, okay, it's almost over.
Right.
You know, I don't have to start collecting, or I can stop collecting all the other books. And then they take it one step farther where each part is in a separate book. Although, I don't feel that those parts really matter.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you've been reading the side ones.
Yeah.
It's not that they don't matter, but you don't necessarily have to follow all of them because he's just jumping around and kind of sucking the emotions from
everything. Gotcha.
So I don't know. I mean, obviously this is going to be the guy who resets everything when we get our new writers, but I really hope those Guardians get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they have just one time after the other, they keep screwing the core over. They keep screwing the Guardians, or I mean the Lanterns, and they just keep taking it.
Yeah.
So First Lantern, I have a feeling, is going to do something about them. Probably put us in a position, I'm guessing, where Hal, all the big guys are actually in charge.
Yeah.
And they're going to be taking over the core and working things. Which, I mean, they can't do any worse than what they've done already. Cable and the X-Force. I think I'm an issue behind on this. So, what are your thoughts on this one? Because
the reason I picked that up is because of how weird the team was. It wasn't a Wolverine Cyclops team. It was, I mean, I loved Forge. There was a character who hasn't gotten a lot of airtime lately, but I really liked him back in the,
I don't think they've touched Forge.
I think they killed him off and I missed it and forgot about it.
Okay.
And then they ignored the killing off and was like...
And they just brought him back?
Because I think he turned bad. I think he went mad in some story somewhere.
Back in the 90s?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, so we've got this weird kind of techno team.
Right.
And Cable is ultimately just, I mean, what's his purpose here? Because I'm not really grasping it, to be honest with you. He's out there taking on things before they get there.
Right.
But did they really give us a reason why?
No, it's from what I remember, like, so much came out all at once where I'm blurring my X books. But it just seems like he came back with knowledge from the the classic, I know some bad things are going to happen. I'm going to stop them from happening. Just trust me. As people go, hey, why? Don't worry about it. I know what I'm doing. Don't worry about it.
Yes,
it'll
and
be
Colossus
fine.
obviously has a lot to make up for after AVX.
Right.
And it's neat. What's interesting I find between the books is how they've shown the people that had the Phoenix Force don't have control over their mutant abilities.
Right.
And they haven't shown us why or to what extent, but it's interesting because all of the different characters in the different books are actually exhibiting these effects.
Right. So it's a storyline that actually mattered instead of as soon as it was over, if you had skipped it, you missed nothing. Like, it's still having ramifications, which is nice.
I think that's really nice. In fact, I thought it was a nice cap to the House of M.
Yeah.
It really, that whole, 6 years was all bundled up with, through Dark Reign and the Initiative and all these things. Really a good end cap to those. So and I thought that was a great place to start over all the Marvel titles at #1, because it gave everyone coming in new. It really did give them a kind of a first start on the whole thing. And speaking of one of the titles that started over, and one of the titles I think that's actually probably the best, all new X-Men.
It's fun. When they announced that, I had no intention of picking it up because I thought the premise sounded so dumb. It just did. I mean, I read that online and went, well, no, that's just... Well, yeah, especially if it was a limited series, you could see how it could work. 4 issues of them in the future, and then they go back. But to have an unlimited series that's about, the archetypal main mutants of the beginning to now interact, I didn't see how it would have legs.
And
but I'm enjoying it. Yeah,
I think it's absolutely wonderful. And I agree with you. At the beginning, it was one of those, really, do we need to do that?
Yeah, who pitched that idea?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think if Bendis pitches anything, I don't think he actually has to pitch. I think he just sends an email saying he's doing it. But what I found weird at the beginning was they laid it all out. It wasn't just a, hey, this is what things are going to look like, but they're like, oh, and by the way, you're dead, you died and came back.
Right, yeah.
I mean, they just put it all out there. And when you go back, they have to get their minds wiped.
Yeah.
Either that or it's going to be one of those things where they put them back and it's an alternate timeline.
Right.
But the way he writes it, their dialogue is great.
Yes, I agree.
It is really, really good. Bendis has his witty banter just works really, really well with teenagers. Right. Do you read Ultimate Spider-Man?
No, I don't.
Oh, that's such a wonderful.
The other thing I like about that they've done, DC's really bothered me with the whole habit of just ignoring everything that's happened before and establishing stuff you don't need to establish, like saying Nightwing was born in 1991, and then having to change it 3 years later. This feels like it's the X-Men from the 60s. Without stating that they're from the 60s, so the Cyclops would be an old man. It doesn't feel like it's wiped out all the long boxes that are in my bedroom. They still count.
That is very true. And you
know what I mean?
No, I do, and that's one of the wonderful things about Marvel is that the way that, I mean, where DC started over a couple times.
Right.
They've always been very respectful to their continuity.
Yeah.
And I mean, granted, when they started, it wasn't quite the same as DC.
Sure.
I mean, DC was a mess by that time with their continuity, but they've always maintained it, and I think they've done a great job. And I have a feeling that even these old ones coming back, they're going to fit in perfectly.
I agree.
Because they're good with that.
Right.
And we got Rot World. We thought it was over. Anton Arcane was beat in Rot World. They've gone back in time. They actually have the Rot helping them this time to try and fix things because Arcane is abusing the power. So they're going back in time. They're essentially going to try and reset it, beat him before he has a chance to get the power that he's at. It's still continuing in Swamp Thing and Animal Man this week. Hellboy continues to be in hell. I don't think we need to say much more about that. Let's see. We've got the conclusion to Hell on Earth. They told us next week, 3 weeks ago, but it's finally here, people. Superior Spider-Man, do you read that one?
I don't.
Now, what did you think about Doc Ock?
I'm one of those guys, I don't read everything, but I read everything online, the interviews, so I know what's going on in all the Marvel and DC books.
Were you a big Pete fan in the day? Or at least, I mean, I guess everyone's a Pete fan.
Spider-Man lost me at, was it Brand New Day?
Yeah.
And because I'm poor, I don't make a lot of money, so anytime a book gives me an excuse to stop buying it, I don't argue with it. I go, okay, I don't need to get this anymore. I wish to save money.
I wish I could argue with you, but that was a great jumping off point.
Yeah, exactly. And I jumped off and I've never jumped back on. I haven't read a single, I've seen him in Avengers and crossover, but I haven't bought a single Spider-Man book since that happened.
I just watched the new movie.
Yeah.
And it was okay.
Yeah.
Everyone said it was great, but
I haven't actually seen it.
yeah, don't worry about it. Just read your old books.
Yeah, exactly.
It was okay. Emma Stone was awesome, but Emma Stone is awesome in everything. So we'd love to have you on the video one day, Emma.
Yeah.
Just a little plug. AVX continues with some ridiculous team-ups. We've got Iron Fist and Dupe. And it was Sinister and Loki. Actually, that works. I think Loki doesn't care what he does.
Right.
So I can see them teaming up. Avengers, Hickman. Are you reading any of these?
I am reading all the new Avengers books, but I don't pay enough attention to where when I see this on the shelf, I'm not sure which storyline that is. Like, I actually have to pick up the book to know, is that the one where they went to Mars, or is that the one
where they gathered the entire team? Yes, this is the one where they gathered the entire team. They've got
so
essentially
Captain Universe and Hyperion and
well, and it's interesting the way they've been going too, because I thought they were just gonna have the team, and then each month we were gonna, oh wait, we need U5.
Right.
But they've actually been, like the last issue where they gave the origin story of what's her name?
Was it Smasher? Captain Universe was the last one, and Smasher was the
one before. Yeah, they're introducing us to all these characters, and Hickman's giving us some really good stories. Yeah. So I imagine we'll get to the Marvel team-up thing.
Right.
But Hickman, you guys, if you're not reading Hickman, he's got a ton of trade paperbacks out that are independent that you can get. You got Red Wing, you got Transhuman, Nightly News, Manhattan Projects. He did Fantastic Four for a while. It's his take on Avengers and New Avengers. Well worth it. In fact, I like New Avengers more because I like the Illuminati.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. Although Cap did not deserve what he got at the end of the last one.
So it'll be interesting to see where that goes.
Yes. And those guys abuse their power so much.
Yes, they do.
But I guess that's the point of it. New Top Cow book, Son of Merlin. Snapshot, Andy Diggle, Jock. A lot of people were actually buying this for Jock. I didn't know he was as popular as he is. I thought Andy was going to be the big draw, but Jock is the one people were buying it for. It's got a good story, interesting art that works well for it. We've got some mysterious deaths, some mysterious people coming back to life, two kind of slacker kids caught up in the middle of it. Just a really fun indie read. We'll save that one for last. Legend of the Shadow Clan. It's a new Aspen book. They don't do many Aspen fans, so you got to look out for this one. It's a family essentially a family that has a legacy of being ninjas. Oh. And it's awoken within them. It's like 1986 all over again.
Nice.
So I'm a sucker for a ninja story.
Sure.
I think a lot of people are. I love Trouble. I still have issues. I got more reorders up there, guys. If you're looking for something that, it's like a Tarantino meets graffiti art, meets X-Men. Really, really interesting book. They're using this paper that's not the gloss, and it fits perfect for the read. So I really enjoy that one. And the book of the week, we do have a lot of these guys. My Little Pony, it sells incredibly. I mean, they're having a party. This little turtle is serving cupcakes. And this one is really happy to get those cupcakes. That one's mean.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite pony?
How can you pick this one?
that was the perfect. And on that note, thank you very much, you guys. Thank you for coming down, sir.
Appreciate
Make sure you guys get a chance on March 17th. Starts at 5. We'll have all the info below, right down here. Go take a peek at Sir Samurai's 500th match. Thank you very much.
My little pony. La 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 la.
You could have just put the actual song at the end.
Yeah, that was better.